The Joe Rogan Experience.
Anybody ever try to make a move on you?
Oh, yeah.
When you were a kid?
Yeah, a couple times.
From 5 to how old?
The scariest one was when I was 13. When I was 13, I was in Boston. One time it happened before, but a librarian saved me. I was like 8. I was in San Francisco, and I was really into monster books back then. I was into monster movies and monster books, and I was looking at these books, and this creepy dude came over to me, and he said, you like monster books? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I have monster books in my car. Do you want to come see them? I said, okay. So I was 8 years old. I was dumb. Started walking behind him, and the librarian screams out, Joseph, you get away from him. He just got out of jail. I'm like, oh, my God. And the guy ran, and I ran to the librarian, and she hugged me, and I was crying. It was very scary.
When I was
Very
13,
scary.
I got in a car with a guy. It was freezing out. Bus wasn't coming. I had the basketball. I was at St. Michael's gym. I got on Kennedy Boulevard. Next thing you know, fucking... there's no number 1 bus. I'm there fucking an hour and a half and 10 below, you know. Guy pulls up. You want to ride? Yeah, I get in there. And I still remember how he acted. Like, from the beginning, from the minute I got in, something wasn't right. His energy wasn't right. And he thought he had prey. You know, he was all hot and sticky. He was like, we were 18, and we were taking a girl back to our apartment. You know, we were kind of clumsy. He was clumsy. And at the light, he went for the ball. He goes, you like playing basketball? And he went for the ball, and then he touched my dick. Like he slipped into the hole.
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Do you like it? And I was like, do I fucking like it? And Joe Rogan, the door opened. It was like God opened the fucking door, and I just got out and ran.
Oh.
He kept saying, come back. I was just teasing you. Come on, I'll give you a ride. I was already home. I was already at the top of Schützen Park. What did I give a fuck? But that was basic. And I always think about that. Like, why didn't people approach me? I knew today, looking back, I still remember 3 guys. I remember a high school teacher that would come on as a basketball guru. And I found out. And I always thought a little weird about him. Not married, you know. And then years ago, somebody said, yeah, he was sucking kids' dicks at the field and shit.
I had a guy slow play me at a lake. There was a guy that used to run around the lake and talk to us when we were fishing. We were probably like 13. Me and my friend Josh in particular, we would go to this one lake that was in our town. And we'd fish there all the time. And this dude would come by all the time and visit. He was always friendly. Started off real normal. What are you guys up to? Catching some fish? Like a southern accent. Seemed like an old gentleman. And then a couple times he came when it was just me. And then he just sat down next to me and talked to me. And I was naive. I was 13. I just thought he was a real nice guy. Like almost like a older brother type figure. He's going to give you good advice. He talked about cool shit. He was a teacher. He got kicked out of his position for some unfair reason. He wouldn't really be specific about it, but he said, you know, they didn't like the way he taught. And so anyway, this dude just becomes my friend, like nice and slow, brings me lunch. I even went to his house once. And then one day, I am fishing, and he's drunk. And he tells me he loves me. And I think I said something like, I really like you too. He goes, you know, there can't be love without sex. And I remember thinking, what? Whoa. Like, what happened? And then I remember thinking, what a dummy I am. I thought this guy just liked me. I was his buddy. Like, he's going to teach me things. He just likes teaching people. He's just really smart. Then I had my hand on a knife. I had a Swiss Army knife, one of them little red plastic ones. You know the ones?
With the can opener.
Yeah, they have all that kind of shit. And all I
screw.
was thinking is I put it in my hand, in my pocket. Like I held on to it. And I remember thinking, God damn it, I hope I don't have to fucking try to use this. Because I was thinking, it's like, he was a big guy. You know, I was 13. I don't know what I weighed, 120 pounds or something. I'm like, fuck, this guy might beat the shit out of me and rape me here in the woods. Like, he was bigger than me, and he was always jogging. You know, he wasn't in bad shape. And I told him to get the fuck away from me, and he told me to not be upset, and then I left. I got away. He didn't chase me. he didn't want to be violent. He wanted to trick me into fucking him. He didn't want to rape me. He wanted to trick me into fucking him. I got real lucky that was the case. But then years later, I got a letter from him at my house. That was creepy. Because it showed up in the mailbox like he had figured out where I moved to and sent me a letter. And I was like, whoa. And it was like real, like friendly and professional, like a real professor, like a scholar. I don't even remember if he ever apologized. But it was real weird. It was like, ooh, I dodged that bullet. How many guys that are like that but aren't nice? They just want to get you close and then rape you. That's much more likely, probably. That is some horrific shit, man.
With Puerto Rican Nelson, I went to his house.
That's his name?
That's what we called him. He was Puerto Rican, and his name was Nelson. And he lived on Givenhead Terrace, and he lived next to the Otinos, but in the back. And I think he raped guys with a black dude. Like there was a black friend of his that would come over there, and then they'd give you beer and all that shit. So he took you in as a, you like pussy type of kid. Like you were 12. He's like, you want to see some good pussy? And then that's how it started. You
and then they bring you over there.
You go in, and he'd start with the porn first. And then, yeah, bring your buddies anytime you want. Then it would be porn, and then he would get us nickel bags of weed. He started, I'll get you weed. And then he introduced our black friend to him. And his black friend just looked fucking retarded. Like his afro was cut weird. He had weird hair. And I remember him distinctively speaking about the Rock of Gibraltar, how he had just come back from Africa. And we were young kids, like, wow. And then once he showed us the porn, it came out like a week later. Somebody said, bro, that dude's no good. Ask what's his name. He went over there the other night and he asked him if he could suck his dick. So we're like, what do we do here? Do we call the cops or do we tell Carmine? We're like, no, let's just play the guy, because he was selling us weed. He was like a bartender in the city and would sell us weed. And then he pursued the porno thing with us. He's like, you guys don't understand, you know. And then he talked us into, he was like, I'm going to fuck my girlfriend, come over and listen. And we would come over there at night and listen. He would leave the window open. And it was his girlfriend and him fucking, and she would be saying, give me milk, daddy. Give me milk, daddy. And we like get creeped out and ran out of there one day. And then one day we actually fucking went back. Then he got normal. I think with the misunderstanding with the one guy, he got normal. Like somebody checked him, and he got normal. And then like the next summer was when he would come out and play football with us with a robe on with no underwear, with just his dick out. And we're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like he went to desperate measures of perversion. And I think Mrs. Zanotti said something to him. You can't be doing that around here with your dick out. And he's like, no, I just want to get exercise or something. Like he told us something weird. And that was the end of that.